UFC Fight Night, Krylov versus Spann. Someone, who was it? I think it was, I could be getting his name wrong. I think it was Andy Hickey on Twitter was looking at how many main events there have been within the last year or so by weight class. There's been 0 flyweight ones for the last year or two, something insane. Since Benavidez maybe had headlined one. And like heavyweight and light heavyweight each have like 16 and 12.
Dude, Chase Sherman's in the co-main event every other week, it feels like, right?
This case, Andre Muniz taking on Brendan Allen, which is a pretty good middleweight fight. But yes, we have Nikita Krylov versus Ryan Spann. Ryan Spann, what do you have to say about this fight, BC? Anything of note?
I mean, where are we?
Krylov favored -170, Spann plus 145.
It would be really disingenuous to try to suggest there's UFC going in any kind of wrong direction at the moment. We got John Jones coming back. We got 2 pay-per-views in March.
The UFC 285 main card is one of the best main cards I've ever seen.
We just had Volkanovski versus Makhachev, which was like a dream fight. So, but with that said, these fight nights have been weak, right?
These last couple have been notably. To be clear, like again, what does bad mean? It's the same one I'm going to say. Okay, not surprisingly. The last UFC Fight Night card ended up being like shockingly bad, even worse than even I thought it could have been. And that's just sometimes what happens. This one could be the opposite. This one could be fun if you watched it. But again, what we're going to say is you don't have the elite end of the sport. You don't have elite rivalries. You don't have any kind of interesting rivalry for the most part. There are a couple of interesting notes from the card we'll get to. But in general, with cards like these, there's just not a lot of big names, not a lot of big rivalries, not a lot of big talent.
I like this fight with that said. So look, the light heavyweight division.
Here's the problem. Krylov versus Spann is fine. It's fine. It's just sitting in a main event.
But let's frame it properly. Look, the 205 division, I think it's fun right now. It's wide open and weird for sure, and it seemed broken heading into the fight with Jamal Hill.
Fallen off too.
Right, but for as broken and weird as it is, and who's the real champ? I mean, Jamal Hill's the champion, right? But who's the best 205er? It's kind of hard sometimes to pin down. When's Yuri coming back? We have seen some batshit crazy awesome fights at the highest level. We do have some guys that still really give the threat that they could be in for a run. Ankalaev, one of them, although obviously he only drew in his big step up. But where do you put Krylov here? Because it's 2 wins in a row. He hasn't lost since early 2022 against friend of the show Paul Craig, and people will find out friend of the show when the RSD drops, Luke. But in that RSD, didn't Paul Craig say that he thinks Krylov really has what it takes to be champion? Are you still on that train? Are you still of the belief? Because look, Spann is the perfect test right now to see if Krylov can extend this win streak. Do you think he has the goods under the hood, though, to challenge for this title?
Yes.
That was a very, very, that was like a, I'm trying to, one just dropped. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like that.
Broke shit, make my ass itch.
Yeah. Like, never trust a fart, Luke, okay, please.
And yet I trusted you. What does that say?
Yeah, but where would you be without me? Successful in terms of clicks, but the flavor, Luke, it'd be like plain Stop and Shop chips, like no barbecue, no extra salt, just like serviceable. You know what I mean? People like that. People like that, though. That's cool.
A lot of people like that.
A lot of people, they're like, enough of this documentary and these interviews. I just want Luke's takes. You can pay for that every Thursday. Go ahead, Luke. Pop the back. Yeah, there you go.
You're so dumb. I hate you.
Brilliantly dumb, please.
What was your stupid question?
My question was about Krylov in terms of...
Yes. Well, here's the thing, dude. I thought Ankalaev was inevitable. I thought he was inevitable. And he is probably the best guy in this division. Certainly, I mean, he's obviously, on top in that kind of way.
Jamal Hill's really good, though. Don't forget that, all right?
He's the champion. What I'm saying... Okay, fair enough. I mean, here I am discounting that. Jamal Hill is your champion. Here's the thing, BC. All of these guys have a lot of interesting strengths. Blachowicz does have interesting strengths. You saw them against Izzy.
Yep.
Ankalaev has interesting strengths. You could go down to Alexander Rakic, by the way, is still kind of floating out there as a guy who we're waiting on his return. But as it stands, between Prochazka, however the fuck you're supposed to say it, the champion.
Prochazka is how you're supposed to say it.
Okay, fine. Krylov and anyone else. On the right night...
You're all checked up right now. You're like this like Pace Allen. You're all like roid rage, and his brother's in the backseat kicking it.
On the right night, do you really believe Krylov couldn't beat any one of those guys? Is the gap between them so big that even fortuitous circumstances couldn't lead you to believe?
It's not so big, but he has stumbled, Krylov. Let's not forget that.
Dude. I mean, and the other part too is like I can see why Paul Craig would think, well, yeah, he lost to me, but if you watch it, he actually gets stretched out from guard 2 feet in the hips. who else is going to do that from underneath when they fight? Like Ankalaev is not that guy. Blachowicz is not that guy. Rakic is not that guy. So it's a very peculiar way that he lost in that sense. Is the difference between Krylov and those guys so vast? This is the question you have to ask yourself. So vast that you couldn't see them, even with fortuitous circumstances, getting the title. I don't believe that. I think he could. Now, why are you holding back Egg Shen? That weird shit-eating grin.
This is like a look into my actual marriage. You're getting oddly upset, and I don't even know.
Upset.
I don't even know how I'm doing it, but I could feel the meter going up and up and up and up. Like you're like you might explode, Luke. And I was just,
broke shit make my ass itch. So in any way,
that's quote shit right there, right?
What about Ryan Spann, BC? Where are you on the
All right, 2-fight win
Ryan
streak.
Spann confidence meter?
It's tough because that 2-fight win streak is maybe a broken down Dom Reyes, although he kind of helped break him down. And Iwan Kutelaba. It's a nice rebound for him from the Anthony Smith loss, but I think he's still largely unproven at this level the times he's come up above water. You remember he main evented against Smith and came up empty. Mm-hmm. This is a great matchup for him in that regard to really reach a little bit higher in terms of how people perceive their comparative talents and try to get a very big win. Is he powerful enough and dangerous enough to do that? I would say yes. But Luke, the odds, did you read the odds yet? They can't be in his favor. And he's going to have to really overwhelm Krylov here to get this done.
Yeah, I just feel like Spann is probably a more dynamic athlete, maybe, something like that. And there's not a huge gap between them in skill level at all. It's fairly narrow. However, I would say Krylov has more ways to win, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Krylov is just much. Krylov is, he's kind of like a lesser version of Yair a little bit. In terms of like long range offense, using jujitsu at times in surprising ways. Not again a lesser version of that. Like not Yair is certainly one of a kind in terms of all the places he has offense. It never seems to end. Krylov's not like that, but he's rangy. He's got good punching. Like he can kick pretty well. They talk real loudly in the back. All of these are part of the show.
They are. It's just part of the circus here, But I like this circus. I like this.
I do. BC. Krylov?
I think Krylov should win. But I want to see if Spann can surprise me. I really do. I would pick against him. I mean, is there a part of Krylov what's the biggest part of Krylov's game that scares you in the face of the idea that he's still a not fully formed title contender on his way there? What's the biggest, because if you look at Ankalaev and I said, what's the only drawback in him? Sometimes he doesn't step on the gas when he needs to. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, Krylov's a different fighter. I'm not linking them together, but just linking them together from the standpoint of two guys who might be able to make a move at the top of this division. Where's the hole in Krylov's game that you think Spann can overcome?
Again, going back to the Paul Craig fight, he gets overzealous in positions. The thing is, he's got great offense. He just doesn't have great defense.
Yeah.
He just makes a lot of mistakes along the way. Now, those have gotten smaller and smaller while his offense has gotten better and better. But there's still a noteworthy quotient about how often he gets hit.
There is an opening there for Spann to explode, and that's why you have to like this matchup. It's a good-ass fight.
It'll be a fun one. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It'd be a great co-main, would you say?
It'd be great. Like, this would ordinarily be like maybe like the first fight on the main card of a pay-per-view or something like that. It's not like it's some irrelevant nonsense content. These are top 10 guys, I believe, are roughly around that. Krylov is inside the top 6, I believe, top 5 or so. I'm not sure.
But I wouldn't say it's the most intriguing storyline or matchup on the card. Is that a fair statement?
For me, it is not intriguing really at all. I mean, we should just say it out loud. Like, light heavyweight is in a place where I think top 5 for me is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
See what happens there. Outside of top 5 for me, I don't have a ton of interest in the current state of light heavyweight. The division is not what it once was.
Fair.
Back in the days of Tito and Vitor and Randy and Chuck and, how about Arona and Babalu and Henderson for a while and Vanderlei and Shogun and, it went on and on. Like 205 was an army of, this premier talent. It's just not that anymore.